Hi, everyone. My name is Joanna Landau. I'm the founder and CEO of Vibe Israel. We are a nonprofit organization. We are experts in branding and marketing Israel. It's what we've been doing for the last decade. And usually I talk to you when times are good, when we're promoting Israel for its assets and what it has to offer and what it makes it most relevant and attractive, especially to young people around the world. But right now, today, May 13th, the situation is not great. We're in a crisis. And the Israeli people, especially, and anyone who is pro-Israel around the world is feeling very, very frustrated right now and wants to act. And so I thought it would be best to speak to the expert. And our expert today is Jose Torres. He is the CEO of Bloom Consulting. Bloom Consulting is what I like to call the McKinsey of the country, nation, city, region branding consultancies. Basically, they consult countries around the world on how to manage their reputations. And we've been working with Bloom since 2018. We are very, very happy to have Jose with us today, and I'm going to make this as quick as possible. So over to you, Jose. Please explain to us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what experience do you have with countries who are in crisis.
Very good. Hi, Joanna. So thank you very much. And thank you very much for putting us as the McKinsey of nation place branding, because I very much respect McKinsey. And so thank you for that. So basically, I hope everyone is okay. Everyone is safe. I see the images of Tel Aviv that I love so much. And I was like, wow, I could be there right now. Anyways, I think it's important to understand that, the comments I'm going to make are purely technical, right? So I'm like a doctor of nation brands, and if Israel comes in and says there's a stress under the brand, that's what I call the nation brand of Israel is right now is under a serious stress, we would be providing and we are providing all the necessary input so that we take care of the brand, right? And we would do this for any other country. So this is absolutely across the board. So this is what we do, and we are experts in managing reputation, building reputation, and so on, and for nation cities, as you explained. And we have a lot of experience also in dealing with nation brands in times of crisis. So I've been personally into a coup. I've been close to terrorist attack. I've been to natural disasters, financial meltdowns, always in the countries and always dealing with the nation brand. So it's something I'm very familiar with.
Okay. So I know you've worked with over 70 different places, right?
Yes.
So you've got enough experience to let us know. Plus, Bloom also has an expertise in digital identity, meaning how does your brand, your country brand or your city brand look online, and how do you manage it and how do you actively manage it? So now, if you had to give one piece of advice to the Israelis listening to you right now, as the professional in this field, what is the best thing to do right now for Israel's brand? And in other words, how do we protect Israel's reputation through this crisis right now?
Yeah. So I know that you're not going to like, what I have to say, but the answer to that is do nothing.
Do nothing.
Do nothing. Do not engage. Do not engage.
Do not engage. Okay, do not engage and do nothing are two different things, but okay, do not engage.
Exactly. Do not engage. And what I mean do nothing is don't start posting, commenting, trying to revert the trend of what's going on. It's impossible to fight that trend. It's like swimming against the current. So if you want to know what's the current, you just Google right now, what's happening in Israel and so on and so forth. And you see the current. It's impossible for you to fight that current. And on the contrary, if you start trying to fight that current, what is going to happen is you are actually feeding the current. You're building more content to it. People will engage. So, for instance, if you're going to put a picture of you and your family in your living room, in a moment of fear or stress or what have you,
in the shelter, not in the living room, in the shelter,
exactly. In that moment, someone else will post something else that is 20 times more stronger than the image that you see. Okay, so
if I post a picture of me in the shelter, then the pro-Palestinians will post a picture of Gazans who don't have shelters, and then what I try to say just in one picture without any words is just gone.
Exactly. So even if you say that, so that is what we mean. What we think is really strategic is to think the aftermath. I mean, you correct perceptions, potential impact of crisis on the aftermath. It's the 6 months after, and not while this is happening. So you're spending your energy, your focus, and so on something that is just that. You're spending your energy and your focus on something. Okay, if you want to do that because you feel better, just to vent, okay, do it. But it's not good for the nation brand.
Right. So I actually had this conversation with my daughter, who's very active online. Obviously, she's 17, and she is following someone on Instagram, someone that she really loves for fashion or for whatever it is. And she's really angry, and they've just posted something about this is what's going on in the Middle East right now, and providing kind of information which is just basically not true, or it's half true, or doesn't show our side, whatever it is. And so she said she was so angry, and I said to her, look, sweetheart, you can respond, but what you're doing is you're adding fuel to their fire.
The fire, exactly.
Okay. And she said, no, you're wrong, of course, because she's a teenager. And then after 48 hours, she's like, I give up. Anything I say, anything I do, even when I try to be understanding, even when I'm trying to have a conversation, even when I try to create a dialogue and engage, it's just not working. I don't know what to do. And it's hard to hear, don't do anything.
Don't do
Especially,
anything.
Jose, as you know, we Israelis, because you were part of defining this, we're doers. Yeah. We don't sit around and wait for something to pass. We're doers. Yeah. So as doers, okay, don't engage, I get. Because if you were a company and there was, negative noise from some clients who were not happy, you would not plaster that all over every single piece of newspaper and social media site. You would deal with it very, very specifically, and you would kind of continue showing your strengths. Yeah. But what can we do? Something, anything. What can we do that will somehow affect the narrative?
So I think again, aftermath. Right, and also, why this is not your daughter this is not working and so on. This comes from also another trend that we see. You're spoiling my next blog on the journal, on our journal, which talk about the basically talking about the future and how future trends impact nation brands. And there's one that is not, we didn't discover this trend. It's a very nice study from the National Intelligence Council about the global trends for the next 15 years, which is the end of truth.
The end of truth. Okay. I think we figured there was an end of truth like a couple of years ago with some specific things going on.
Yeah, but the end of truth, I mean, the deep fakes and the technology, and even from a technological point of view, right? So it's going to be very, very difficult to explain the situation. People don't want to listen. They have their own idea of what's going on and so on. So I think really what's really, really important is to understand that the perception is, and if you try to build and to mitigate the crisis, is don't engage, do not build do not comment on it, do not give your opinion about it. Just stay still. Don't engage on social media. That's really our recommendation, with one exception that I'll mention in a second. But why is this important that you don't engage? For different reasons. One is what we've explained. It's useless. It's useless. If you're reading a post about something, about someone has an opinion, you will not contradict that opinion. The second thing is, again, you're fueling up the fire. You're starting to create a dialogue about that, and not a dialogue, it's a discussion. It's parallel conversations to see who types faster and who puts more. So in the end, what you're doing is you are building more content to a discussion.
Yeah, basically.
You're building more posts, you're building more. And when you think, and sometimes you even think that you're building a picture to show that and people may read it in a different way, because they're so fueled up, and then it's going to be impossible for you to, it's going to be the moment right now. It's really not at the moment. What we do know is that these perceptions change. If there was an impact, they will change. There's the aftermath, which is, okay, you need to monitor in 6 months' time what is the impact of everything that is going on. And then this is really when if you want now 3 months, 6 months, we recommend 6 months after to look back and say, okay, was there a hit or not? And while the doing right now really is about developing the strategy for the next 6 months, looking at the digital identity, looking what was said back then, it's like, you fight fire. When I say fire, I mean wildfires, like nature fires. It's not while the fire is taking place. You fight fires on winter, right? So that's a little bit the
Right.
analogy. It's in cold.
Almost like prevention rather than.
Exactly, prevention or the aftermath, right? So
Right.
it's really, that's how you correct the things and how you engage with it, how you deal with, that's then how you engage. So this, the unity about the creating a narrative later on that will then, not about engaging and justifying or just going into that conversation, but about building positive perception. So because you see, nation branding is not really about correcting crisis. You don't build a nation brand on with crisis. That's just a mitigation. But you build nation brand with the positive aspects. It's with the positive feelings. It's with the positive things that go after. So that's what you have to think, and that you have to pump more in the future. That said, Joanna, if you say no, but if they, Bloom, tell us, if they could post something, what would
Yes,
it be?
that's what we're saying. Give us
What would it be?
something,
Just what would it be? Look,
anything.
I think there's an amazing. If you Google Euronews, no comment, right? There's this is a European channel. Only it's a news chain. It's like Reuters. It's like, and basically what they do is once in a while they just open the camera and they put no comment. That's it. No writing, no voiceover, and there's
No
no
opinion.
journalist commenting on
No
anything.
opinion, no interpretation of whatever
No
it is that's being
interpretation, no
shown.
nothing. So
Okay.
if you like, it's still risky because people can engage, and if they engage, don't do anything. Is do that. Open the camera and document situations. That's it. No comment.
So, like for example, the when there are missile, there's the Iron Dome, and then the missiles going
Exactly.
up. You just video,
Just video, and you don't say anything. Just video.
and then
That's
you
it.
post it on your own,
Yes.
and you
First.
just write like Tel Aviv today. It's
Tel
just
Aviv today. End of story. And
end of
no, we
story.
are this or they are that. No, just like that. Don't comment.
So it's almost like what you're saying is like we should become almost like journalists, like documentary
Almost. Journalists.
filmmakers.
I would say, yeah, filmmakers more than journalists.
Yeah, maybe. So like really just standing on the sideline, showing
Yes.
what there is.
Yes.
And then, in the end, we come, obviously, we as an organization do a lot of work on social media. We work with influencers. And what we know is that people do not spend time reading everything. They do not spend a lot of time engaging in every single thing. There are too many, especially if you're working with influencers who are really strong. You've got thousands of comments. Nobody's reading all those comments. It's a bit of a waste of energy. But what they are seeing is that image. And maybe if there are that many images, then that's something that should be shown. So that's I think that's a great piece of advice. Another thing that I saw a while back in 2014 when we had the last operation where there were missiles all over Israel, because there are missiles rained over some areas of Israel all the time. People don't know that, but all over Israel was in 2014, and there were two. I looked at two different social media platforms, one for Tel Aviv City and one for an advocacy organization, a pro-Israel advocacy organization. And they both posted a picture at the same time. One, Tel Aviv City, was a picture of the beach. It looked beautiful. It was quiet because obviously nobody was out. And it just said, Tel Aviv Beach looks, hoping for a beautiful day. That was it. And then the other one was a meme about how many 2,000 rockets have been fired on Israel today. Okay. And what you see is that basically these two platforms are speaking to their audiences. Okay. The advocacy organization audience wants to see memes with rockets and so on and so forth. Tel Aviv City audience, this is global people looking at Tel Aviv and whoever engaging with Tel Aviv and think, it's a great city and they want to see beautiful sights, are getting what they want. They're seeing beautiful sights. And I'm wondering whether an additional thing that not right now, not today, but in the aftermath, like the day after there's discussion that it's all over, which can happen tomorrow. We don't know. But people living around the world, if they post the picture of something that reminds them of, home if they're Israelis and their experience of Israel, if they're not, and just put it up there, just say, thinking of, my people or my family or whatever it is. No other comment, but a lot of positive imagery that people naturally gravitate to. Would that be helpful to post as well?
Or even in the same train of thought about the Tel Aviv today, or Jerusalem today, or wherever you are in Israel. So today, and you show like that the next day we're back to normal, we're back to our lives, and thank God this is over, and that's it. And you start going back to the, I hate to say the new word, new normal, but in your way, you're very used to the new normal, right?
Well, that's the thing. This is maybe where we'll end. I was thinking about how in 2014 we had exactly the same situation, and we felt at the time exactly the same way as we did then. Everybody was against us. Nobody understood us. It was very frustrating, and we were sure that our tourism would take years to bounce back. It would be really difficult to go back to normal. And then, of course, what we're looking at, if we had this conversation a week ago, we would be talking about how Israel is having its golden age of this wonderful reputation, right? Amazing tourism opportunities because it's the first country to open up. And, the business has never been better. Everything's great. And then suddenly there's this. So what we're saying, this is like a glitch.
Exactly.
Don't fall into the glitch. Don't let the glitch take over. Don't make it the main issue. Don't fall into the conversation that our detractors want to have that we can't control in any way, shape, or form. And wait for that moment where you can come back and go with the positives again, right? That's what you're saying?
Exactly. So it's a little bit like, Joanna, it's a stock market crisis. Like don't sell. It's like don't engage. So that's a little bit the analogy. Just let it will go. If you don't engage, it will go faster. And also, I think it's really important to understand is that this is not about, and when we talk about nation branding, is not, you don't build a nation brand by with negative feelings. So it's avoid that and focus on the positive and focus on, but that not now is not the moment because it will not work well. So the aftermath.
And I think for the Israeli people also, we have a lot of complaints to our government and the powers that be and whatever. I think also this is not the time to evaluate the strength of Israel's brand, because you don't evaluate the strength of a brand when it's going through a crisis. You evaluate it over time. And as we can see, and as I just mentioned, Israel's brand is stronger than it was, and hopefully it will become stronger than it is. And yes, we are going to have these crises. Israel is a country that always has stress on its brand. And if we can hang in there, I hope we can, then maybe we'll come out of it, even better.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. And we'll be checking in on you again to see whether, if everybody just tries to stop themselves, let's see, what happens. We'll come back to you and we'll give you an update. Thank you very much, Jose.
I hope everyone is okay there, okay?
Thank you very much.
Bye.